Sup, everyone. This is
Hello.
the second anniversary stream of Skylords Reborn. How is everyone? I hope you're nice. If you're fine, guys. Oh, shit, I'm so nervous.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Oh, it's been 2 years then.
Good times.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. If you haven't noticed yet, it's the second anniversary of Skylords Reborn. And before we get into a bit more detail, we'll start with a quick introduction. So, first off, we are 3 people today, basically the 3 project leads of the game. My name is Hannah, and the other 2, you also can say your name if you want, so people know who you are.
Hey, it's me, Ladadus.
And it's me, Majora. Well, we are the ones hosting the stream. We'd like to stress that there's a full team of over 35 volunteers working on the project. So this anniversary would not have been possible without any of them, or without any of the old staff members as well. Tonight we'd like to look back on another year. We share some information about our upcoming patch, and we will also announce a contest that is starting today. We will end the stream with a Q&A, where our head designer Windhunter will also be joining for any questions you might have.
Yeah, so looking back at this year, we've had a few big patches and also minor quality of life patches. Big ones being Force of Nature, 5th of June, the Autumn patch, and Halloween patch. Also included the fun Halloween version of Encounters with Twilight. And we also have a 4th big one coming up, our Anniversary patch. Plan for this is to hopefully still get it out this year. We'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, looking forward to that one.
Yeah, we're still hard at work with that one. Unfortunately, we didn't get it ready for today, so you won't expect the stream to hit after this. You won't expect to hit the patch after the stream, so you'll have to be a bit more patient there, unfortunately. However, this year was definitely very productive. We managed to introduce quite a bit of content. For example, our 22 new PvE achievements. Those were mainly aimed at the PvE veterans, because basically once you finish with the game, there's not much to do, right? You can essentially grind RPE as much as you want, or you can play the campaign with various decks. But these achievements give you some sort of purpose as to what goals you want to set next, or in that sense, because you can also get rewards for that. We also added 9 new cards, because playing with the same cards all the time gets boring. And the 9 new cards also improve the deck building for certain deck archetypes as well, which makes them a lot more fun. A highlight with the new cards was the promo mana ring, which is locked behind one of the hardest achievements in the game. You basically have to play so many expert maps on only with a pure nature deck, which can be very tricky. But if you manage to achieve that, you can basically show off that fancy promo mana ring and make everyone else jealous. We also continued working on the card and map balancing for PvP and for PvE, and the game is honestly at its best state it ever was. If you are a returning player, or if you are a player who just played 1 year ago, it really makes sense to just check the game out again, because lots of things changed, and just playing it again should be a very nice experience. Specifically for PvP, there were also quite a lot of improvements, especially at the PvP Happy Hour, which basically is a designated hour of the day where the rewards for playing PvP are drastically increased. Because previously in the past we had issues that our PvP player base was not that big, so they didn't really know when to play, and this led to high queue times, and then people left the queue because they didn't find anyone, and it basically hurt the PvP scene a lot. With the happy hours, that has improved quite a lot, and you can see quite a lot of PvP activity in these late happy hours. We're obviously still working on further improvements, but as I said, the game is at its best state it has ever been.
Yeah, I mean, Hannah just now mentioned the promo manuing, but we've added quite a lot of cards throughout time, and here you can see a nice overview of all of them. A little bit of everything for everyone. Hopefully, everyone has a favorite card that they can use from the new ones that we've added. And yeah, we're really proud of all the cards that we've added throughout Skylords Reborn. They're a lot of work, but it's a core aspect of BattleForge. So it's really fun and exciting to be able to have added so many new cards to the game.
Yeah, honestly, as a more PvP player, I personally enjoy the Bandit Minefield a lot. I think it's a really cool card.
Yeah, that one is awesome. I personally really like the army cards as well, because they were not originally in the game, of course. But all of them are awesome. Another big part of the game is, of course, the community. It's by defense for defense, but we also interact with the community in a various of ways. Balanced discussions on the forum and on the Discord. You can share your concerns or suggestions with us in more than one way. We also take these to heart. We also have task force for both PvE and PvP that we use to, like one of the most knowledgeable people in the game, offer suggestions, and will only make the game better. We communicate with you through the community updates. I hope everyone from you knows them by now. Every month we release some behind-the-scenes look on what we're working on or what has been released. So if you're not following them, be sure to do so, because there's always also a code for free codes and cards, so that's always nice. Every summer we have a survey. You can offer even more suggestions there. The last one was really popular. About 2,000 people of you replied to it, so thanks a lot for that. And we also see a lot of the events coming from the community side. There's been a PvP league from Toggy. Ducky has hosted the community PvE league. So there's a lot of content to experience, even beside the stuff that we put out for you guys. Capo has also been hard at work with his CCC, crappy community contest, though they're not really crappy, but the name is funny, I guess. And there have also been a lot of streams, like the Random Rush Hour from Volin or the Fight Club from Toggy. So yeah, thank you for everyone for that. And the very subtle code that we have at the bottom might grab you a reward or two.
Yeah.
Ever so subtle.
Yeah, for people who don't know, Capo is one of our Skylords of Honors. That means he has done honorable achievements for this game, and we really appreciate his help. Like, without him, Skylords Reborn would be definitely a less popular game. Like, big thanks to him, big shout out. But yeah, what the community also helps to achieve is new cards, basically. This year, we're gonna add even more cards. Because in the next patch, there's gonna be the Raven Walker, which is one of the new legendary cards of the upcoming patch. As you can see, it's one of the existing PvE enemies. You could previously encounter it in various scenarios, and it basically behaved like a construct, but when it shot its missile, it basically cast one of these Aura of Corruptions, which deal lots of damage every time you play a card in it. But now you can add this fancy card to your own arsenal and essentially use it to also fight the boss with its own weapons.
Yeah, we thought it would be fun to, because it's the first legendary unit that we add to the game, we thought it would be great to make it a bit more special. So its ability is actually Aura of Corruption, but we made it a bit different with an actual raven that flies around the battlefield, acting like the zone. It looks really special in the game, and we hope you really like it.
Yeah, but that's obviously not the only card we added to the game. And the next card we will add is Sanctuary, which Medora can tell you about.
I was waiting for the slide.
Yeah.
Sanctuary is a new pure nature card, also revealed in the community update. It's another reward to staying to a pure deck, which basically gives a Mark of the Keeper aura to a couple of your units, which protects your group from those pesky crowd controls attacks. There are 2 affinities. As with most cards, we only add an affinity if we feel that we can make enough of a difference, so we hope it won't be immediately clear which one is the best. But feel free to prove us wrong on that one. But yeah, those two cards will be included in the upcoming patch. So they're not live yet, but they will come soon. But there's one more new card that we're working on.
Yeah, I was confused there for a second. 2 cards? Because I heard there's a rumor. I've heard there's 3 new cards which are upcoming. I wonder,
Is
what?
it a new card? What is it? Yeah.
I honestly don't know. Lara, do you have any clue?
Maybe it's a building.
Oh, a building. That's a good idea. Maybe it's a promo.
Oh.
Oh.
Maybe it's a promo world breaker card. Yeah, this is our first promo building. It will also be an upcoming patch, and as you can see, it has a very beautiful artwork. On the left, you can also see its in-game appearance, and it's honestly just beautiful. This card is not achievable, not obtainable through boosters. You will instead be able to obtain this card via a new achievement, where you essentially have to complete certain campaign maps in expert difficulty only using buildings and spell cards. The maps of this achievement are Sunbridge, Moe, and Ocean. So it will be an interesting challenge, and we are definitely looking forward to your strategies as to how you can obtain this card, because it probably won't be too easy. As a side note, Worldbreaker Gun is also getting a buff next patch. We are increasing its health points by 900 points. That means it should be a bit beefier when you build your defenses with it, or especially if you use it offensively, it should be able to take a bit more pain.
Yeah, and a quick side note on that, for people who are like, oh, that sounds way too hard. Just like with Mana Wing, if you don't want to do the achievement yourself, you can hope that someone wants to trade or sell the card to you.
Yeah, but keep in mind, it's gonna be very expensive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I really like the artwork, also the sky, and just the angle on the world break again makes it look really epic. Really like how it turned out.
Yeah, the in-game model looks great too. So
Yeah.
big thanks for that.
We'll also show off the in-game card in a bit, but first we have another cool feature we want to show off, which are the
Cosmetics. So, I mean, BattleForge has had avatars for a long time. Yeah, a way to show a bit of your personality, be able to change your looks in game. But we're going to add a few more, namely banners and backgrounds, and the ability to change our titles. So on the left, you can see a little preview of how you could look like in game. There you can see that it has a custom title, in this case, Game Master. You'll be able to select any titles that you've unlocked this far, being PV or PvP. For the background, you see that there's a shadowy one selected. There'll be for all of the different factions, you'll have something to choose from. And yeah, then we also have the borders. That's what goes around the avatar, around Moon in this case. And that will be another cosmetic that you'll be able to use to customize yourself in game. So that will bring up to 4 different cosmetics. These will be unlockable in different ways. We have plans to add extra achievements to the game, 36 to be exactly. And these were mostly taken from community suggestions. And yeah, the reason to unlock certain cosmetics through achievements is to incentivize players to, well, play the game more, and kind of like how we did the Mana Wing promo. We had a whole achievement set up for it. We'll also do the same for different cosmetics that we have, and you'll be able to manage all of your different cosmetics in the image and the UI, as you can see currently on screen. And yeah, hopefully this will make will allow everyone to choose a little more how they want to become, and other players will obviously be able to see how you look like in game. So it's not only local; other players will be able to see how you're looking like currently.
Oh, I want to be a game master.
Twilight one looks really cool. And we also have the hover over on the right, right, Hannah?
Oh yeah,
see
right.
that-
Yeah, right. That's very fancy. You can now hover over there to see like the fancy banner. And honestly, if just within these in-game selections, also just looks beautiful. Just look at this.
Yeah, I think it will. We've also kept into account a bit of the we don't we want to add the options for players to customize themselves, but we also understand that with all of the different colors, it shouldn't look out of place. So we're keeping a close eye on that. We're not making BattleForge look like an RGB fest in a way, you could say. So, for example, we consciously left the region list of players on the top right be neutral in colors. So we opted not to, for example, have players show their background color there because, well, we don't think it would look appropriate for the game. So, yeah, there's a nice balance between showing how you want to be, but not making the game look like I said, too much of an RGB fest.
Yeah. And this really just gives you something to play towards too, because like you can now just also preview these looks, and if you see something you like, then you can see how you can unlock it and then just go grind that achievement. And yeah, there are a lot of achievements.
Yeah, and this also allows us to have a couple of more hard achievements, because previously if we locked boosters behind them, people would get really frustrated that they wanted the boosters for their collection or for their progression. Now you kind of like the end game content with some fancy banners to show it off.
Yeah, on the screen you can also see some of the new cards right now. For example, the Worldbreaker gun, the promo one, which is very fancy. Then you can also see the Raven Walker here. And with its ability, it can fire this fancy Aura of Corruption. And there you can
keep
see
in
the
mind,
bird.
Aura of Corruption actually can hit buildings, unlike the normal Aura of Corruption.
Yeah, for example, if I spawn something here now, it can just nuke these walls. Yeah, it's also the Sanctuary spell, which I can also quickly demonstrate. So let's say you have 3 mighty scavengers, and you have a couple of archers. You can just cast Sanctuary, and yeah. They're just mobile Mark of the Keepers. Mark of the Keepers is this card. Another cool effect is that they're basically more immune to CC. Okay, I can quickly cast this. This was, yeah. Oh, I can't even cast this. It's so unfair.
But it's doing what it's meant to be doing.
Oh, this card is so broken. What's the name? Cold Snap. They can still run inside. But it shouldn't last that long. Yeah, as you can see, they're pretty quickly unfrozen. But I don't think these scavengers have any chance against the Worldbreaker gun, even with their Sanctuary.
No way.
Ah, no chance.
And as someone mentioned in the chat, it is indeed not stationary. They can move along with the units.
Yes. I wonder who wins. Okay.
Should be the Worldbreaker, I guess?
You're probably right. Yeah, it's the Worldbreaker. So slow. Yeah, it has 8.8k damage.
Yeah.
I've only Archrocker had knockback on
Yeah.
Bill. I mean, what?
Yeah, sure. But yeah, fancy cards.
Fancy cards indeed.
But
So yeah, we hope they will still release this year, and you look forward to them. We spent a lot of time on them.
yeah, but this patch is not the only thing you can look forward to, because there will also be future patches.
Yeah, so for the future of Skylords and a bit of the upcoming patch, we've done a lot of balancing throughout, existence of Skylords Reborn, and while it's not perfect, we're very happy with how the game's currently balanced, and with that in mind, we want to shift a bit of our focus on maps, on balancing maps, and adding new game modes to the game. So quite a bit of a different type of content compared to cards. So we want to move a bit away from launch individual cards, and we'll continue to obviously add new cards, but the focus will also be on maps and the different game modes. And think of game modes like the defensive RPV that we've mentioned, the nature RPV, or match modifiers, which is something we've mentioned in one of our community updates, if you followed them.
As a side note, the nature RPVE changes will not be coming with the upcoming patch, unfortunately. We're still working on them, and they will unfortunately have to be pushed to next year.
Yeah, we're still hard at work on them, but as you could have seen with the fire one, even after a lot of testing, sometimes we even have to rebalance it. We're still hard at work on it, and it will be cool, but just hang in a little longer for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the meantime... oh, sorry.
Yeah, and of course we'll continue to do any quality of life improvements and bug fixes like we've been doing all this time.
Yeah, for sure. But in the meantime, we have prepared a fancy little contest for you. Because playing the game all the time gets boring, right? And sometimes you also just want to contribute something. Right, Majora?
Yeah, that's right. I think ever since the start of the Revival project, people have been dreaming of new cards, and sometimes they feel we're not fast enough at creating them. So we're starting a contest. Create your own card. You can win prizes with it, and if your card is really good, then it might even be added to the game. Your card will be judged by our great designers Hero, Radical, and Windhunter. The rules are on the forum, that you will link it in the chat now. So yeah, go ham, create your favorite card, explain to it what it does, and convince us of your great design, and maybe you will make history and get your card into the game.
Yeah.
We also have a great tool to create it, created by Mace. Don't need to use this. If you want, you can use it. It's a bit easier to make it look like a real card. There's a card creator you can use where you can upload an artwork, could be anything. You don't have to upload an artwork, by the way, to compete. And you can basically fill it in. We basically use this tool to preview our own cards, so it's really powerful. Of course, it won't make it into the game like this, but it's a great tool to like visualize what your card does. But in the forum are all the rules what you need to submit to join the contest. But we hope it gets your gears grinding.
Yeah.
And where can players find this tool, Majora?
The tool is linked in the forum as well. It's listed in the additional comments on 8 you can use to submit to the contest.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And it's important to note, even if you don't manage to win with your card, you can still get participation prizes. So it's definitely worth it to just give it a shot, because who knows, maybe you come up with a great idea which will actually make it into the game. And then you can just play your own card, which is honestly, I guess, the most fun thing you can do, I guess. Yeah. But we often have contests like this, for example, and sometimes you're not really sure where to find these news, right? Where do we hear of these contests? Where do we hear of new patches, of new scratch codes? We have a solution for this, because starting from today, we are offering a Skylords Reborn newsletter. For this, we'll post the sign-up link in the chat now, but you can basically just enter your email address there, and once you do, you'll start getting our newest newsletter, where you can find updates, scratch codes, and plans, and, for example, announcements to events such as the one mentioned now. It's really recommended, and we would really appreciate your feedback on that as well, because it's just something we're starting out with now.
And I do want to stress, we're not going to spam you with all kind of random stuff. We basically, at most, you will just receive the community updates, if we even email you that much, but you would definitely get an update for a new major patch. If you play the game like not all the time, and sometimes you check in what's going on, this is a great way to stay up to date.
Yeah. Alternative platforms to stay up to date are Discord in the announcements chat, or, for example, the forums announcements section. We also have monthly community updates, which basically summarize all the progress in a project, announce team changes, announce events, and so on. So this is just one extra way to stay up to date for those of you who prefer to have the news delivered to them per email. But yeah, that's about it for the stream. From here on out, we'll host a 15-minute Q&A session. Our lead designer, Windhunter, will also be joining us for this. but we'll give out our best to answer any questions you might have about the project, its future, or its decisions so far. So yeah.
And I'd also like to stress that beside this stream, there will also be a recap video released towards the end of the year alongside the patch that will cover everything since release till now. So if you missed anything or you're just finding the project, that will also be something to look forward to.
I heard a fourth member join the call. Who is this?
Hello, this is Windhunter.
I'm sorry, do we know each other?
Of course we do.
Oh, right,
I don't
Windhunter.
think I know
How could
you.
I forget you? I'm sorry. Bestie.
Right, so let's get the questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Also got some questions earlier today.
Yeah, we can still scroll up a bit. By the way, 200 of you tuned in. Thanks so much for watching.
I got the perfect question for you, Windhunter. Will Stonekin be buffed or reworked anytime soon?
We have several Stonekin cards coming to getting changes in this upcoming patch. We're buffing Deep Gorge again. We're doing a slight rework of Earthkeeper. There's also going to be a slight rework and buff for Gemi. And in the future, we plan to buff Deep Fang, Earth and Gift, and Grinder. They just didn't make it this patch. So it's definitely, some of them, about half of them are happening this patch, and about the other half should happen maybe next patch, the patch after.
Right, great. I saw someone ask who's on the panel, but I see Dutchy already replied to it. Would it be possible to get PvE happy hours? I don't think we have something similar planned, but you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, I would say we're kind of as we're moving now our focus to more game modes, we want to really encourage people to be able to play campaign maps together, because what we find is some people want to play campaign maps, but it's hard to find actual games. And so we plan on releasing a map of the day feature where players will get extra gold and experience, even potentially BattleForge points, by playing the same map. It's going to be the same map for everybody together. And then we also hopefully would like to release eventually something like a map of the week or a map every 3 or 4 days with like special modifiers or game modes connected to it. So that way players can have the same maps to kind of go through.
All right, sounds good. I see someone ask if we will create more Emmy cards. Just to clarify, in EA days there was 1 Emmy card. We already added 3, and yeah, in the future I'm sure we'll add more.
I see one question in the chat about 2K and 4K resolution fix. This is not something we're currently working on, because the way the UI is essentially built would not make this a fix, but essentially a rewrite of the whole UI. Because the game is old, right? And the way they built it in the past was to basically hard-code all the pixel values where each element is and how long it is. That unfortunately doesn't make it as easily scalable. So adding 4K support to the game is not something you can expect in the near future, but it's obviously a long-term goal, right?
Yeah, and this is there's a lot of different ways to contribute to the project, and single-off contributions are also more than welcome. So if anyone is here on stream and has a bit of technical affinity or knowledge, and is interested in adding support for this, we're more than welcome to contribute in this particular area. Throughout, I think a couple of months ago, also was one member who approached me, we talked a bit and decided to introduce him a bit to the game and get him going on ability on how to add 4K support to the game. Unfortunately, I haven't always heard back. But if you're motivated enough and really want this to be added in the game, it can be a one-off contribution you could do. It's not a priority, but it's of course something that is something we would, if we ever have time left, we want to add.
Also see a question coming up that gets asked every single Q&A we do. Is there a custom map editor? Yes, there is, and yes, you have it already on your drive because it comes with the installation of the game. I don't know the name by heart. Lada, do you?
Plugin-based
Plugin
editor.
base editor.
.exe.
There you go. But it's already there, and we even made some improvements to it this year.
There's another question we get every time. Do you have French people on your team? I think at the moment the answer is no, but there is one very special French person who was in the team. His name is Insane Hawk, and a huge shout out to him because he's also in the chat right now. And he's the previous project owner, the one who basically started this whole project. So big thanks to him.
I'm seeing some person mentioning rewards for campaign maps, and that's if you've been around the Discord or in game the other day, you could see I was talking about that. We're planning on a rebalance of the campaign and random PvE map rewards to make them kind of more symmetric and more fair, because right now there's very little reason to play campaign maps. If you want rewards, it's just way better to grind random PvE, and we're going to leave random PvE to be grinding if people want to do that, but also make it more rewarding if you want to play campaign.
I see a small quick question. Will the game be translated into more languages? There's no plan for this. Simply, it's too much. It requires too much time and effort for the little game we have. Currently, the majority of our players are from EU, and adding a fourth or a fifth language to the game is so much work. It isn't for the value we get out of the effort we put in. It's simply not worth it for the state the project is in at currently. So no, I would not expect there to be more languages in the game and in the near future.
I also see a question about hybrid orbs. They're actually already in the game. We use them on a couple of tier 3 cards. I see people also asking for tier 1 cards, but that brings on a whole lot of different issues and both balancing and technological issues, so don't expect them anytime soon.
Yeah, like a tier 1 hybrid card. What's the orb you get when you spawn it first?
Yeah, exactly. I see a question, would you ever add in-game card deck guides? I think we even considered this for the PvP decks at some point, but correct me if I'm wrong, Ladadus, I think it was delayed back then because it lacked, we lacked UI people to actually implement in-game information about it. Which is most of the time the reason why we do a lot on the forums and on the Discord as well. It's just really hard to actually showcase information in the game, which is actually something, Hannah, that we forgot to show. The tooltip for advanced search.
Oh my god.
Inventory.
I'm not the smartest person, I'm sorry.
There you go. So this was requested quite a lot. We've dramatically improved the search function of the game, but people kept losing the keywords on how to search them. So we added, in the upcoming patch, there will be a reference card that you can use to easily filter the cards.
Correct. Currently, in its place, inside of a question mark, are two buttons that are always disabled. They do functionally nothing in the game currently. Presumably they were to expand the inventory list to the right, but yeah, in its place, this question mark will be, which gives you the explanation on the keywords.
I'm seeing the one person asking about the Skylords card list website. So that website is not going to be updated, but the website we previously linked about the card creator from Maze, the SMJ site, which you can find on the forums, and some will probably link it in chat for you, that actually has a deck builder, and you can see all cards currently updated from that. And someone just said this, is there a way to share or copy decks with a link? I'll just leak an upcoming feature. So we're going to add a chat feature, which is import export deck. And this will create an automatic code for you, which you can share in the chat. And that will allow someone else to import your deck, either from the forums, on Discord, or in the game automatically without you having to show your deck to them.
I think that's actually already implemented. Let me check. Oh yeah, it's implemented, but it's like half implemented, so you can not see the proper mess right now. But for example, here's a test, and as you can see, like this is like the rudimentary feature, and then you can just clone the deck to import it. But as you can see, it's like not yet finished.
Somebody else. Oh, so the cosmetics someone mentioned earlier in a question. So the cosmetics will be primarily earned through achievements. Some of them are hard, some of them are very easy, and some of them are just play the game. And so that's that. And this other person also asked progress for campaign PvE story maps. We're working on it. It takes a lot of time. We're going to be focusing a lot more of our effort moving forward, like we mentioned before, on map content. So we're going to stop implementing as many cards and balance changes and move towards, hopefully, campaign maps, more random PvE modes, defensive random PvE, battle arena, and more things like that in the near future. And also, one thing we've mentioned in the past, which we're working on, is we'd like to make it so there's map modifiers on campaign maps, so that way you could kind of add a bit of randomization to a campaign map. So let's say like in this level, all enemies that die have a soul shatter explosion on them. So it just adds a little bit kind of randomization to the map and gives you like a new flair.
Yeah, and there's basically lots of these modifiers which you could possibly do, and the only limit is basically what kind of cards or effects you can implement. But aside from that, anything should be possible. It's also possible to combine map modifiers if that becomes a thing in the future. So, yeah, better look out for that. That should make the game a lot more enjoyable, because you can basically replay certain aspects of the game, but in a completely different way. There was one question in the chat about is the new client still in development? I think you might mean the updater, and yes, that is still in development, and that will be released next year. I'm fairly confident to state that it will be released next year, because it's been in development for quite a while now, and hopefully it will finally get done sooner than later.
I also see a question from someone asking if we need someone to post TikTok of our game. I haven't actually thought about this one, but we do have the open position for social media manager. And any way to promote the game is highly appreciated. So if you want to help with that, be sure to reach out, because we could always use more help. I see an interesting question for you, maybe, Windhunter. I'm kind of lost when it comes to buffs, debuffs. For example, which one overrides, excludes which one, and so on. Are there plans to improve the global buff or debuff icons on the top left corner? I believe we're kind of limited there, right?
So the global debuff buff icons in the top left are, unfortunately, we're kind of limited by by their support of lower resolutions. And so some of the lower resolutions, there's not that many spots. We could conceivably, I think we can have like 8 or 10 slots at the top. So we could add more global buff, debuff icons. We're still thinking about what we want to do relating to that, because we also don't want to clutter the screen with a bunch of Wheel of GIF icons, which will basically what will happen as soon as a person builds 2 Wheel of GIFs. So there's kind of issues we have going on there in terms of visual clutter. In terms of buff and debuffs, the general rule is if a unit naturally has a modifier, so it's a unit's counter damage, or say like Lyrish Knight has an ability that when it's near buildings, it does 100% more damage. Those stack infinitely. But for buffs from outside the unit, say like if you cast Unholy Power or Unholy Hero on a unit, that only counts the strongest modifier. So that works for both damage and damage reduction. Is anything applied to the unit, it's only the strongest applies, but anything that the unit has naturally as part of itself, that stacks infinitely.
All right, sounds good.
And someone asked about chests with one click. I just approved today a change to gold chests, and they should now. I mean, I don't think it'll happen this update, but hopefully sometime soon. Gold chests will be able to be opened even if units around are busy, so you should no longer have the issue where you have to spend 15 seconds stopping to open a gold chest. You can actually just open it while you're running past with the unit. So I think that's a change that a lot of people will be happy to see because how frustrating it is right now.
Thank you, Hunter. Oh, you're the designer we deserve. We need, but not the one we deserve.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah,
that's
always been
amazing.
such a... Yeah, it's been so clunky always.
Yep. I see a question, an option so we can compare the difference between affinity on dual cards without having to keep hovering the mouse over each. This is very annoying, but I don't know if there's an easy fix, especially because of all the translation we do with them.
I think what might be possible, and I'd have to talk to our game design person, and I don't know if this will be a priority, but I think it would be possible maybe to click compare a card and compare a card, and it would open them next to each other. But I don't. Yeah, that's kind of a lot of translation issues, so I'm not sure that would happen. One thing I saw recommended a few days ago that I think is a very good idea is being able to right-click a campaign map and see what upgrades are available there. Yeah, that's tangentially related.
Yeah, it's a nice one. I see someone ask when Frost RPVE. Well, considering Nature has been in development for a year, I don't think anytime soon. And I'm pretty sure we're moving on to other maps first, but definitely more map content in the future.
Yes, we will. We're gonna, after Nature PV random PVE, we're gonna stop development of further random PVE for the normal offensive random PVE, or we're gonna switch to defensive random PVE faction development. Someone was asking about Gold Sync. That would be great. We're still trying to think about that. There's definitely a lot of people who have millions of gold. We're adding an achievement for earning a lot of gold, so at least that way you'll have you won't feel like you're completely left out because you're sitting on 5 million gold in your thing. And one last thing I think is kind of worth mentioning that we're going to be changing is a lot of longtime players have a lot of decks, but they can't fit all of them. And so we're going to increase the limit of total decks you can have from 100 to basically infinite, but it's going to be at your own risk because it really slows the game down once you have more than 100 decks. So kind of increase at your own risk. Any last questions before we wrap up here?
Yes, we're wrapping up in 2 minutes. So if you have anything left to say, now's the time.
People asking about Fire Frost. Have the elephant in the room, I guess. We're still basically busy fleshing out Ami. And we also had issues with the whole Fire Frost frame in the past. Not sure if that's completely resolved already, but basically, in the far future, we hope to bring them to you, but not anytime soon.
One question I see here is, no, we have no plans to add more affinity effects. We already find it pretty hard to make sure the affinity effects we add are interesting enough to make the cards different. And then maybe one other question I see here is, we will not add the ability to change gold to BFP because that would wreck the economy. Some people, like Volan, have 8 million gold, and so he could basically himself crash the entire BattleForge economy.
That's a good point about Christmas. Hannah, when was the Santa thing again?
I'm pretty sure it's starting from Christmas until the end of the year. Lara, I think you know better.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
So yeah, if you play a match during that time, you get the Santa card free.
Yeah, I just checked the code. So, starting from the 24th, it will be available. UTC time.
Right, great. Right, I think we can wrap it up, right? Most of the questions have been answered.
Yeah.
So
you
to
have-
summarize, new patch coming up. Don't have a concrete date for you yet, but we still hope this year. Fancy new World Breaker gun and 2 new cards will be included, including nice cosmetics you can earn through achievements. And later this year there will also be a video about 10 minutes long that goes over everything that we added to the game, including the new patch, which is voiced by amazing Dreamlord who voiced Benzai Lord. So look forward to that as well.
Yeah. And if any of your questions were not answered, you can also just go to our Discord after the stream, and we're basically available there every single day. So your question will be answered. So don't worry about it. But yeah, then thanks for tuning in, and we wish you all a nice evening and happy holidays and a happy new year in 12 days or so. So yeah,
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
thanks.
See
Bye-bye.
y'all.